Hello, I'm Chylli from Channel Chylli, also known as Try, and we are back with more Limbus Company. This time we're going to be playing the Nocturnal sweeping event that just came out. A little context, I'm going to be doing this entire event day 1. I saw they're making a difficulty patch, but I like when games are hard, so I'm going to be doing this whole thing before that comes out. Dante, any idea when that leftover cake from yesterday went? No idea. I mean, why would I know? I can't even eat. Darn, did Donkey already get her paws on him? Rhodia rubbed her tired eyes, muttered something about how we should have partied in her room instead, and stumbled to the back door. The New Year's came swiftly to the inhabitants of the bus after the various incidents at the LCE. The sinners all came from different backgrounds and parts of the city, but annual celebration of New Year's seemed to be a thread that connected their cultures together. They began floating the idea of a New Year's party and... Excellent, then permit me the honor of hosting the banquet. With her usual overdramatic boast, coupled with a familiar twinkle in her eyes, Don Quixote declared that there would indeed be a New Year's party, and thus it was decided. Again, after all the hell we went through with the back door and whatnot for the out-of-season Christmas celebration? Yes, I must insist, for it was an effort to decorate the bus, an intent quite divorced from the act of celebration. Don Quixote glanced at Sinclair, sheepishly scratching the back of her head. Oh, don't worry about me, really, haha. Well, 'tis true that mine actions have brought thee quite the distress. Unintentionally, I might add. Thus I ask thee, wouldst thou not agree that a communal event to mark the occasion might freshen both our spirits and bodies? I can't even begin to imagine her amnesiac self even taking a moment to give a damn about how Sinclair might take it, but I guess with memory came tact. You know, it's our first New Year's together. It sure is an occasion for celebration, huh? Gotta hear that bell go ding to really mark the transition to a new year, right? It seems that we shall be welcoming the first light of the new year in company of one another. This is indeed a cause for celebration. A bowl of noodles before the last night of the year fades. Classic. Such bubbling enthusiasm for ye warmth mine own heart. Forsooth, the grandiosity of this banquet shall be one for the books. Fireworks most brilliant, enough delicacies to... Karen, where's our next stop? Nathy'll be running non-stop for 3 days at least. Only dum-dums stop on a fast road. So she says. Virgilius muttered with his usual sarcastic edge, one fist under his chin. For next year's celebration, the banquet shall be prepared ere the promised hour. Don Quixote's idea of a grand banquet depressingly fizzled in nothingness, but... Rhodia brought out some cakes and cookies she stashed in her room so we could at least hold a small celebration for the New Year's together. After that, we all stayed up together, watched the New Year's first sunrise before briefly paint the city in gold, then retired to sleep. When everyone woke up, rubbing their tired eyes, the world outside the bus had completely transformed. There was a behemoth of a structure, bizarre in its appearance and its walls seemingly made of gargantuan steel plates. H-Corp? The sinners began to voice their surprise, appropriately so, as what came into view was different from any of the Nessies passed on her journey thus far. Is that massive structure all one building? If that whole thing's the nest, then where the hell's the back streets? That's big enough to cover H-Corp's territory and then some.
Well, there he goes again, asking dumb questions without ever taking a peep at the guidebook. That's not the nest. That giant box you see there? That's District 8.
We call it Hongwan, the vast garden here at H-Corp. The nest lies within the center of the structure and the back streets without. So they squeezed the entire population of this district in there? Did they not get a ray of sunlight all year round? Well, at least they won't have to worry about the rain. Prithee, avail me a sight as well. As the sinners began to gather one by one at the side of the bus, stirred awake from their late night's rest, I felt my gaze drawn towards Hung Liu. I looked for signs of concern or distress on his face, worried. It wasn't exactly something unique to Hung Liu, but the stories about his past home life we've heard throughout the year. Whenever he felt like sharing them, they were all consistently and terribly depressing. It's not such a bad place once you actually try living here for a while. But his lips, ever so slightly curled upward into a kindly and relaxed smile, are making the same expression as ever. An expression that hasn't changed at all since our first meeting. Maybe it's just a cultural difference. Kinda like how Hong Liu can be so nonchalant about things that should give most people pause, but... Actually, no, I'm not helping anyone or anything by entertaining these thoughts. My job at this moment is to keep a close eye on Hong Liu, more so than usual. And if the time comes for me to help him as the manager, I'll give it my all. Besides... Whoa, this thing's even bigger up close. Barely, I carry no recollection of a structure so grand, even in past adventures of mine. If my efforts aren't enough, I know I can trust the sinners to lend me a hand. Hey, let me see too. I collected my thoughts and approached the sinners who were flattened up against the glass window to get a good view. Alright, sorry, just checking my recording quality. Looks all good. And let's get into our first battle here. Looks like they're weak to slash, so...
잠시 이것만 삼키고.
금방 가지.
투입합니다.
Looks good to me. Once we left the bus... Oh man, can't believe we had to get off the bus here. We have to make a formal complaint against H-Corp for this crap. What the hell were they thinking, doing shoddy construction work at the entrance of the highway that leads straight into the nest? Many causes there may be to such construction projects, yet perhaps an early warning sign ere to our approach to the site would have been a sensible idea. Were it not for young Charon's most valiant drifting, I shudder to even imagine the terrible possibilities. It would have been a most awful end to an adventure. It's no surprise that the sinners all had a piece of their mind to speak. As we drove up to the entryway, we unexpectedly came across a mess of badly put together steel plates blocking our path in the middle of the road. Throwing quickly spun the bus around, which meant that everyone ended up being thrown about like rag dolls. Good thing there was another road off the highway that leads into the city, right? I bet Chan would have tried to reverse gear all the way back to the last interchange. But it looks like we'll be going through all these winding alleyways to get to the nest. It's so dark in here. We are greeted by a dark street upon disembarking from the bus, illuminated only by faint strands of light. It was immediately obvious that we found ourselves in the back streets of Corp. Looked pretty impressive from the outside, but it's no different from the other back streets inside, eh? Yep, it's a familiar sight. Gotta say, it's getting really old. I ask thee, is the nest of this district shrouded in such darkness as well? No, these particular sites are limited to the back streets of District 8. The back streets of this district weren't very different from the other ones we visited in the past. People hurrying through the streets as though they are being chased by something. People scouring and glaring at the ground with some sickness or discomfort. Seems all too common in every corner of the city. There was one thing about this place that stood out from the other districts, however. They're kind of reminding me of the former G-Corp soldiers back at District 4. What do you mean? You mean those fellas? The growths on their flesh appear too organic to be prosthetics. Some of them had odd protrusions or nodules bulging from their skin as well. Not at all, Manager Bud. Look, they haven't all mutated in the same pattern, like into an insectoid form, for example. Well, I guess I should commend you for not looking at them through a biased lens. You're observing the aftermath of District 8's distinctive method of treatment. Oh, so this is where the rumors about that bluish healing ointment come from, huh? Apparently they can cure any flesh wound after just one night dressed in bandages. It seems that certain misconceptions must be addressed. There are variations of H-Corp's singularity, the bolus. The bolus? She's likely referring to medicines brewed and kneaded into ball-shaped pills. Correct. H-Corp, or the Hongyuan Bioengineering Group, mainly manufactures boluses that contain essences of treatment. The boluses may be taken orally, ground with water into a paste and applied directly to the affected area, or dissolved in water, soaked into bandages, and wrapped around the necessary area for treatment. I guess rumors transform as they travel. Oh, I see. I was just thinking about how they do things back at the K-Corp. The focus of K-Corp's technology is the reversal or recovery of one's conditions. Returning original state is the key word in their treatment. It is no rare sight to find unique treatments and technology developed independently by the inhabitants of the backstreets of District 8 using the manufactured boluses. The treatments are not individually customized for each patient. Instead, their focus is on selecting the appropriate technique from a myriad of choices to address the deficiencies in their statuses. Perhaps one could choose the word transformation or evolution as a more illustrative descriptor for their method of treatment. So what's that? That's what counts as treated? The crowd Sinclair was pointing at certainly appeared unhurt, as none of them were bleeding or walking with a limp, but many of them appeared dazed, staring blankly at nothing, only scratching absent-mindedly at their mutated parts. Ah, they must be the regulars. Unexpectedly, we found our answer not from Faust, not from Marceau, but from Hong Liu. The regulars? Yes, I've heard of them as a child. People who've grown too accustomed to visiting the clinics in search of their mystical treatments. The regulars might appear more intimidating than most at first glance, but apparently all the side effects they've been stacking changes them in strange ways. It is highly likely that interoperational conflicts or issues will arise when applying highly disparate treatment methods to a single body. At least it's a cheaper alternative for people who didn't sign up for the life insurance. You speak of life insurance? Yes, life insurance. There's a special insurance option to bring the client back to life upon the event of their death. Though the irony isn't lost on me, but I thought resurrecting people was one of the head's taboos. That does not consider the revival via life insurance to be a violation of their non-resurrection taboo. It is likely that, on a technical level, this revival is actually categorized as brain resuscitation as opposed to full resuscitation. Degradation of its functions considered, of course. Another fatal downside of this technology is that, unlike the manager's clock winding, the subject cannot be brought back if their brain is destroyed. Also, there's a risk of significant losses in the process of information transference. Losses, huh? So maybe some of their mutations could be more than just the side effects of those treatments. Maybe, but I heard it takes more than 1 or 2 revivals to change that much. And since apparently people in the backstreets could never even dream of paying consistent insurance renewal rates, so after all, who would sign up for insurance if using its services could reduce them to such pitiful states? Yeah, they appear pathetic and pitiful to you rich bastards, don't they? You'll soon be in the same boat as them, so save some pity for yourselves. Identify yourself. The stranger's voice cut through our discussion like a foreign instrument. We turned around to find a large group of people who were clearly up to no good. You must be the young master of that high and mighty Gia family, eh? I can tell just by looking at your pretty face. Your friends, Hong Liu? No. I haven't had much chance to get acquainted with people from the backstreets, so nope, I've never met them before. Of course you haven't. Too busy living large, playing gods in a different world from us plebs, huh? Not that it matters. We're just here to take the thing you brought here for submission to the family hierarch. Evaluation. The what evaluation? Okay, there's clearly been a misunderstanding. There's quite a lot of them. We're not off to a great start here, huh, man? Actually, no. It'd be a violation of our office's core values to jump them like we're some common thugs. I, Shan-san, third son of the Triax office, challenge Yaboyu, or Baoyu, of the Jia family to a duel. Our wager will be that the winner can take anything they want from the loser. Wait, what do you mean a duel? I've heard that duels of the Honorable Fixers of the Sink Association Eastern Branch announce their intent to duel by stating their affiliation and name instead of casting their gauntlets. And the pamphlet that young Ishmael had presented before me earlier presenteth the truth that a Triax office is indeed an office of the East, though they are indeed of lesser quality. 'Tis a true, genuine, accurate declaration of a duel that we behold. So it's just a fancy way of saying 1v1 me. Let's go, innit? I mean, this guy doesn't look too tough. What do you think, Faust? I agree, this individual does not seem to possess any particular exceptional skill that may pose difficulties for Hong Lu. I think it's going to be okay. I'll be back in a minute, Dante. You sure this is okay? I don't think you're gonna lose against him, but, you know, just in case. No worries, I have some childhood experience with duels myself. I've done about 10 of them, I think. So the rich boy's dabbled in some duels, has he? It's... Oh, I think you misunderstand. I meant to say that I've done about 10 of them a day. Oh, but grandmother sometimes let me skip them, so it might be slightly fewer than that on some days. What? I, Hong Lu of Limbus Company. No. I, Baoyu of the Jia family, accept this deal. Sorry, deal. Duel. Jesus Christ. Hong Wei stepped forward confidently as the opposition was processing what he heard. For a moment, Hong Wei stood there in a stance that did not express any hint of aggression, before cautiously, curiously cocking his head to the side. Sorry, are we waiting for something? Oh, so I always let the opponent get the first 2 moves in duels? Please, don't hesitate. Let me, you little... Your crocky pride shall be your downfall. The man who introduced himself as Shan-san leaped towards Hong Lu. Then, after about a minute... How is this happening? Unlike Shan-san, who was throwing punches and swings with a boiling hot passion, Hong Lu was effortlessly gliding between his opponent's strikes like he was out on a picnic. As though this was but a leisurely stroll through a garden. Whenever Shan-san threw a powerful punch, Hong Lu only redirected it to the side with ease, the fist only grazing his clothes. We were mesmerized by the feathery, light movements of his hands and feet that effortlessly glided through the air, until after one blink and you'll miss it moment, we realized that Shan-san was already face down on the ground defeated. Young Hong Lu, hast thou been concealing thy full strength in our presence? Oh no, I wouldn't say that. I always put up my all into every fight. Yet to defeat this foe so soundly, to dance with such grace between his strikes, was as though thou were dueling someone whose skill may only measure against a child's. But most of our fights happen in environments with a lot of variables, and we usually fight against enemies with all kinds of unexpected weapons and powers. You read him. Already familiar with that fool's moves? Oh yes, one of my Biwu instructors used similar techniques as this gentleman here. Practice makes perfect, imperfection makes an expert, right? Right, but I'm not sure if that's entirely relevant here. Well, anyways, looks to me like you soundly kicked your behind in this duel. Let us through, why don't you? And preferably, don't do the thing I think you're about to do. This duel wasn't overseen by a notary office anyway. And our employer's not gonna let us this failure slide if we just leave. Don't just sit there, move your asses and jump on them. Pathetic. I can kind of see how we're becoming experts at getting jumped. With the bitter cry of the defeated, his gang rushed towards us. Alright, I don't think this should be very tough. I think it should be fairly easy.
당신의 판단을 따를게요. 켈리, 남자오.
Suffice to say, this is going just as easily as I imagined.
적출할게요. 다시 복구하긴 힘들걸요?
공감을 준비하고
Apologies for the interruption, I am back. Let's continue.
당신의 판단을 따를게요. 낙인을 새겨드리죠.
꿈을 꾸러 가다 무릎에
And this should be the last turn here.
꿈을 꾸러 가다
And just as I thought, as effortlessly as I imagined. This really isn't a great start, fellas. It's never easy, is it? Hey, at least we got a nice warm-up. It wasn't all bad. I don't know, this seems more serious than our usual street brawls. One second again. Okay, sorry, I'm back. We have company over, so it's a little hectic, but I'm gonna keep going here. It smells right. They weren't your everyday thugs who would pick fights with random people for no good reason. They were contracted by someone to specifically target and eliminate Hong Lu. And given how open they were about their intent, calling it a contract, it doesn't seem like whoever gave the contract was exactly going for subtlety. Then, maybe this is what Jieshi Chun was talking about? Way back when she mentioned surviving as heirs? Whoever's behind this must have a bone to pick with Hong Lu. Indeed, it seems that we must expect more skirmishes like this going forward. Alas, was this trial not readily overcome? Not the point. Think of it more... Think on it a little more. Seems like they're assuming that Hong Lu's brought something here in order to participate in that family hierarch evaluation. Then there's no reason to assume that we've seen the last of them. They're gonna try again to take out the competition. A highly accurate assessment of the situation by the executive manager. I expected no less from someone of your genius. Going for the classics of brown-nosing today, Otis. Since when was a brown-nosing to compliment a job well done? Do you not expect? This inane conversation is most riveting, but I would prefer some silence while we wait. It seems that the company foresaw such difficulties. They've even sent you a support team to help handle the issue. We heard voices coming from behind us, from wherever Chylli is pointed. My, you guys still haven't learned how to stick to the plan, have you? It really threw me off when I was told to meet with you in some backstreets location, away from our agreed rendezvous point. A familiar voice, a voice we could not forget. Been a while, everyone. Hi, I'm here too. We turned around to follow where the voices were coming from and recognized the two people we've been hoping to see again. When I heard it was two people, I expected it would be those two.
승부수가 먹혀들었군. 판세는 완벽히 우리에게 있어. 정착지를 찾을 때까지 이 기세를 잃지.
I only have 70. This is gonna take a lot of These are gonna take a lot of grinding to get. Especially since I am saving on my pulls here. Anyway, time to read a lot more. Assad? And hey, pilot, right? You're... What's wrong? It's like you're all looking at a ghost. Pilot, didn't you tell me that you shared my news with them last time? I did. I sure did, ma'am. Oh yeah, he did. The sinners each recovered from the initial shock of seeing them again. And soon their faces began to bloom with relieved smiles. Well, good to see you that things haven't changed much around here. God, we're so happy to see you're okay. Take time to you too. Get to see that your gears are turning just fine. God smiled with a familiar grin. It did not seem to have changed much since the last time we met, save for a few minor differences. Her outfit and her badge, for example. Last I recall, you were promoted, yes? Allow me to congratulate you. Yeah, haha. Or the hints of melancholy hanging from her smile and flickering in her eyes. Hey! I'm merely congratulating her on her promotion and offering a recognition of her excellent accomplishments. I don't see what your problem is here. But we all know the meaning that promotion carries. Indeed, and it is very profound. After all, what meaning is there to a promotion attained without spilling some blood? You're a real piece of work. Let me ask you something then. If everyone behaves like you do around her, tiptoeing about the facts, keeping a hush-hush about what happened, where's she going to get the bare minimum of the recognition and the consolation she deserves? Hush-hush would have been nice. I've even overheard some of the whispers that I let my partner die just so I could snag a promotion. So in that regard, I appreciate that, Otis. And for being technical, I did die, except my brain was intact. Not even K-Corp's regenerative ampules could have revived me if it wasn't. Then did Effie also? Apparently they went right for Effie's head when they stabbed him with a prosthetic. According to the coroner's autopsy. K-Corp ampules, life insurance, Neither of them can revive someone with a damaged brain. It is what it is. Anyways, let's not dwell on the depressing stuff. We're here for work, let's get some work done. So let's talk about work, okay, pilot? Yes, ma'am. Well, let's see here. Coincidentally, I happen to make friends with a feller who has ties to the Gia family, so I brought him over. Hey, is that everything? Yes, sir. Briefing over. Just as everyone was reeling in stunned silence at the least informative, least helpful briefing we've ever had the displeasure of sitting through, Ishmael was the first to catch herself. She looked at Sod. Sod, can we rely on you for some elaboration here? The briefing was a good demonstration of the necessity of educating the 5 W's in 1H principle. Looks like we have a lot to discuss once we get back, pilot. Did I do something wrong? Pilot buddy, just stop. You're digging yourself into a deeper hole with every word. Tiger quickly leaned in to warn Pilot, but it was already too late. A nigh unnoticeable crease has already formed between Sod's brows. Prior to commencing this high-priority operation, it was necessary for us to find individuals with connections to H-Corp. Apologies for yet another interruption. Let's continue. We as the preliminary observation unit were put to the task, and we managed to establish a connection with an individual. Oh, someone from my family? No, we tried, but your family proved to be rather difficult nut to crack. However, as we were wasting our precious time with all our leads, Pilot pursued an unconventional method to establish this connection. I really didn't hold back on compliments then, and this is how you... That collaborator is a former employee of the Gia family. After leaving the family, he now runs a lodging business. And it's likely that he is far removed from the family's politics. Less motivation for him to attack us due to conflicting interests. Yes, and according to Pilot's report, he still regards the Gia family positively. How can I not, considering the blessings they have given me? An unfamiliar voice butted into the conversation, as though to continue Sod's explanations. I humbly present myself before the Fellowship of Young Master Baoyu. Please, call me Ching Tao. He greeted us in a most polite fashion before bringing his hands together in an odd motion. Oh, is this how people greet each other here? Yep, it's called the Baoshan gesture. Bringing fist and palm together to express respect and peace towards the receiver. Aha! Knights greet one another by shaking their hands for the self-same purpose. Forsooth, thou art indeed one possessed by a chivalrous spirit. Indeed. Much should I worry about the qualities of people young Master has surrounded himself with, but I see that he is in the company of those wise in the ways of the West. I prostrate myself before the vast breadth of your knowledge. What grand generosity it is to ajar the waterways of wisdom to quench my barren lands. Something feels familiar about this. Nah, she's just getting less and less verbose with bootlicking these days. Not like this guy, for example. That's true, he's kind of like... How should I put this? A bit much? What are you guys talking about? Communicating only to the sound of a ticking clock. That is something I had already known ahead of time, yet... What a most curious exchange to behold in person. Brief this journey may be, yet I find myself thoroughly entertained by its entirety. Maybe it's a subtle sprinkle of disrespect that reminds you of the usual flavor. Wait, is this about me? You dare? Was all that bootlicking she did supposed to be a source of pride for her or something? Otis shook her head with clear distaste and strode towards me. We are nothing alike, Executive Manager. Never have I once said such empty flattery in your presence, filled with nothing but hot air and superlatives. I'll leave the guidance of these back streets to him. Well, looks like this is where... Todd fell silent, her eyes lingering on Virgilius, who stood somewhat apart from the rest of us. So I finally get the chance to meet the Red Gaze in the flesh. I've been looking forward to this day for a long time. Etty would have loved to be here. Manager? Virgilius seemed to sense an lingering gaze and walked towards us, after nodding slightly in her direction. Manager sighed. Let's not make this any longer than it has to be. I'm not happy to be helping with your businesses. I'd much rather put this behind me as soon as possible. Oh, please. It's our historic first collaborative operation, isn't it? Can you spare a little more time with us? The guide bud's actually doing something? That guy? Yes, unfortunately LCC has our own business to take care of today, so I won't be accompanying the LCB this time, and the Red Gaze will be helping us out to get it done. Taking Matthew there, vroom vroom. And it's not that unfortunate. Now that I think about it, I feel like every mission with the LCB's been an uphill battle to get anything done. Well, you see, back then we were... just messing with you. I'm sure we'll have another chance to work together again. Boss, we don't have much time. Wait, before you go, I think you have some explanation for Virgilius. I'll leave the details to Miss Faust. I am very busy. Quite busy, sorry. Very well. Virgilius turned around and left towards Mephistopheles with an oddly disgruntled expression. Well then, I'll see you around. Next time, I'll show y'all. I'll show you that I can carry my own weight. You know, oh boy, the last time we met, I was really so darn pathetic. Pilot, confidence is shown through action, not words. Todd and Pilot gave us a light nod before following Virgilius. Some sinners opened their mouths to speak, hesitated, then closed them again. We let them go without a word. Perhaps we didn't know what we could say to not make this an awkward farewell. Very well, please, this way. Or maybe we were simply mindful of this guy who is responsible for the quality of our stay. Oh boy, these dialogue sections are so long.
투입합니다.
I mean, I appreciate the story, but it just takes a lot out of me. Deep resentment ought to be washed away. For when the far one comes, betwixt the burned doors shall a star fall astray. Are you sure we're going the right way? I don't like the sound of these weird songs. The main streets are most likely teeming with those seeking to bring harm to the young master. We must venture an alternative path. And Mikey said there weren't any skirmishes once he made it deeper into the dark alleyways. The lack of foot traffic would normally be pretty unsettling, but I guess that's what we needed at the moment. As for the song, it's a song that became rather popular in the backstreets in the recent months. The lyrics are pretty, ominous for a popular song. It's a song that spread through word of mouth. It sings of how the decimated Kong family... This is not the place to discuss such matters. I will share the tale in a more appropriate setting later. Shall we come across it? Didn't know there was a song like that. Is it the first time you've heard it too, Honglu? He's a posh git from a posh family. I doubt he's ever set his precious feet in the back streets. There's no wonder he's never heard anything like it. I have been to the back streets before, but Heathcliff isn't wrong. I did spend most of my time in my room. That is precisely because you were the most treasured one of them all, young master. Much like how the jade is of the greatest worth is to be cherished, prized, and hidden in the deepest depths of one's coffers where none shall reach. I'm like him. To a lesser degree, particularly as of late. So that guy used to work for the Jia family, huh? You know him, Hongwu? Young master, is there something on my face? Hongwu stopped himself as though a thought flashed in his head and glanced quietly in my direction. Then... It's nothing. Shall we continue walking down this road? Indeed, humble as I may be, I'm very well versed in the reds of this area. Honglu shook his head at me as he casually changed the subject. It was as though he's trying to hide something we know from King Tao. Should we be suspicious of something? He's a collaborator, but only a temporary one. A degree of caution would be advisable. Given Pilot's clear inexperience and naivety, we wouldn't do well to remain suspicious of this character. Or sorry, we would do well. Thousand Otis approached me as Honglu was nodding along and chatting amicably with our guide. Well, looking back at our journey so far, I think we learned our lesson about blindly trusting every collaborator we came across. With this growing mistrust in mind, I slowly made my distance from the guide before asking Faust the burning question. So what was this? What was that back there with Virgilius? Something about him going off to help them out? The consequences of his actions at Wuthering Heights. His actions were a violation of one of the most important terms in his contract. And his contract with the company. He is simply taking responsibility for the breach of contract. I think back to the incident at the manor. It feels like such a long time ago now. Well, that's kind of a bummer. He really helped us out of a pickle. What? That's what they're dragging him away for? Is there a problem, honored guest? It's nothing at all. No problemo, right, Ryoshu? That's you, idiot. Merso, can you carry Yeath for a bit? He's tired. Well, Heathcliff punched in the gut by the hilt of Ryoshu's swords, fell forward onto Merso's welcoming shoulder. Rhodia? You know the kind of person I hate the most? The kind of dull people who can't read the room. Do you feel the same way, Dante? Yeah? I nodded enthusiastically, as something seemed to imply that she wasn't really asking me a question. I don't think she was about to punch my lights out, but... Rodion and Ryoshu judged correctly this time. Classified company information must not be discussed from the presence of an outsider. Reminds me of the time he got knocked out cold. For a while, basically, he kept asking questions without raising his hands. This guy really doesn't learn, huh? He successfully preserved the secrecy of classified information without spilling blood. I applaud this policy. I did good, didn't I? I'm just not a big fan of how they're treating Heathcliff like dirt now. If it's no problemo, as you say, then that is, well, indeed. Yet I worry that it appears that the problem has found us anyway. I stopped and looked around, realizing that we were surrounded by a group of people wielding various weapons in their hands. What happened to finding us a safer path? It's likely that my guidance has indeed given us a much safer path away from the more obvious skirmishes. However, to my great regret, it appears that the more observant of our enemies has tracked us here. Damn it, then what are you even here for? Isn't it your job to prevent this exact scenario? Let's leave the finger-pointing for later. We're gonna have to take them all down. They must not be allowed to disseminate our current location. Exactly. What are you slinking off to, Mr. Chital? I must regrettably and humbly say that my talents in war are terribly lacking, so I intend to become scarce for a moment. Yet I have the utmost faith in the strengths of our young master and the honored guests in overcoming this adversity, so... Jing Tao is already standing so far away from the front lines that he was practically hiding behind me. Faust, anything you can tell us about these enemies? No, but a consultation with the Gesellschaft seems unnecessary if we are to determine whether negotiating with them is an option. They're coming. Verso, wake Heathcliff up and set him down. It will be done. Alright, let's do this fight here. Still weak to slashing, that's good.
죄를 새겨주겠어.
육정!
낙인을 새겨드리죠.
전투응대에 나선다.
And yeah, these guys are just really weak.
싸움을 끝내주겠어. 죄를 새겨주겠어. 흉터의 결과야.
꿈을 꾸러 가자.
여전히 무섭고 겁이 나. 그럼에도 멈추고 싶지 않아.
제 살을 베어내.
다시 구하긴 힘들걸요?
Alright, well, I think this might be the last turn here.
새겨주겠어.
육청
꿈을 꾸러 가도
흉터의 결과야.
아름다운 것 그렇지 않은 것
Never mind, I think next turn will be the last turn then. Oh, never mind, they just died there. Hostiles in the immediate vicinity have been eliminated. Our collaborator, who had been hiding far from the battle, quickly ran up to our side as soon as the fight ended. Are you unhurt, young master? Yep, I'm totally fine. Of course, our honored guest's martial skills have all exceptionally brilliant, but young master, your light was the brightest even among the incandescent. This humble servant could not hold back his tears at the wondrous sight. To witness such excellent martial arts from none other than the young master himself. What an unexpected surprise. But don't the children of the Jia family undergo all kinds of strict training regimens from childhood? It was simply my assumption that young master had ceased his training once he departed the family. Anyways, how do you think they tracked us down anyway? About that, it appears that we weren't exactly tracked down. Perhaps it may be that the ilk who lurk in these parts of the back streets recognized the young master's venerable countenance. I don't think my face is that well known. The family hierarch evaluations are nigh. Every soul living in Hongyuan must know the face of the young master who is loved by every elder of the family. It must be that they are under the assumption that you are carrying something of great value. I don't trust this guy for a second. You look so sinister. Family hierarch, huh? Didn't Jia Shichun say something about heirs back then? They all assumed wrong then. I didn't bring anything precious that the elders might be looking for. Young master even now? I just couldn't care less about it, that's all. Besides, many of my siblings are much better fit to be the family hierarch than I am. That's... Well, that is indeed a relief. A relief, is it? Well, but of course. It is a highly dangerous endeavor to take part in the hierarch evaluations. So it is a great relief to know that young master is not putting himself in any unnecessary danger. I guess that could be a relief. Sort of. Well, now that we took them all down, there shouldn't be any more on the way, right? Greg, can we not jinx ourselves for 1 second? Why are you laughing, Ryoshu? Now I'm worried. Please, do not concern yourselves any further. We'll take a more clandestine path. I guarantee a safe and easy passage to our destination. I still have a hard time buying that. The lay of this place would constitute a perfect place to set up an ambush in most places, yet you claim this to be the safer path? Yet I must ask you to place your faith in this humble servant, for Hongyuan is not like most places. Fine. For now. Otis shuts her eyes for a moment, out of retorts, then turned to look at Ishmael. Hey Ishmael, you must have the pamphlet on this place handy, don't you? No, wait, you're actually going to read it? Why else would I ask? No, I mean, how could I not be caught off guard after almost a whole year of getting brushed off by everyone every time I plead with them to read the damn pamphlets? Like hell, did no one think to... I will find my own intel if you're just gonna ramble on and on with your grievances. Okay, fine, here it is. Otis opened the pamphlet and began intently glaring at its text as though she didn't want to miss even the smallest detail of information in there. Suspicion clear on her knitted brows.
승부수가 먹혀들었군. 판세는 완벽히 우리에게 있었다. 정착지를 찾을 때
Alright, we are 1/3 of the way through. I think we're going to stop once we finish level 6. So 2 more.
투입합니다.
These ones are still weak to slash, so we're still good here. We were on a desperate run, all the while fighting off hordes upon hordes of enemies. What happened to safe and easy passage? Explain this shit. It appears that the young master's radiant countenance was made known. I thought we were finding a more clandestine passage. How come we're getting jumped by even more enemies? As I said, the young master's radiant... At least try to give a little variation in your excuses. I can also easily say that he is being untruthful, given the disjointed allegiance of the enemies attacking us. Otis played with the pamphlet in her hands, clearly frustrated, but unable to establish anything concrete. For people without a clear allegiance to attack a member of the Gia family. Looks like everyone in the backstreets has been getting pretty plucky while I was away. Back then, I couldn't even catch a glimpse of their faces. They'd all be on their hands and knees whenever we walked past. Ah, what a wonderful change. Oh, shove that wonderful change up your RC, bloody loon. How much longer till we get there? My Kezhan is near. Calm your worries. Our guide seems oddly calmer now than he did at the beginning of the journey. Did you really get numb to all the violence that fast, or... Speaking of which, what's a Kezhan? It's a term commonly used to refer to taverns, inns, or equivalent places of lodging in this region. Lodging, huh? Like a hotel? It's gonna be pretty fancy then, huh? Do they serve like complimentary snacks and drinks like the warp train? Not sure about that, but it seems like Kezhans also serve alcohol and food along with lodging services. Maybe we can get a meal in there. And phew, hopefully we won't be attacked like this. Residential non-aggression taboo. Any mutual acts of violence inside a residential building is, within this particular area and floor of Hongyuan, a taboo. A taboo. We may rest easy within then. I saw Faust's eyebrow slightly twitch as though she had just heard the most ridiculous thing, but I guess I'll ask her about it later. If it's for some kind of family hierarchy or family head selection contest, why couldn't they save all this fighting until then? Because it would be too late. Wait, how? Every hierarchy candidate must have brought incredibly precious treasures with them. It'd be nice if they believed that their own treasure is the most precious of them all, but everyone's gonna try to take each other's just to be sure, I see. Just in case someone else brought something even better than their own. And might as well kill them too, for the sake of convenience. Is that how the folks in your family think? What kind of line of thinking is that? But other families didn't seem too different from mine. Damn. Deepest apologies for intruding upon this most enthralling conversation, however. We may have been inviting even further trouble by dallying here. With that, the guide pulled out a watch to check the time. It will be nighttime soon. Time for another fight here, just more of these guys.
욕창.
전투 응대에 나선다.
혈이 남자.
살을 베어내고 듀얼 끝. 혼수는
Let's see, just 10 enemies again.
당신의 판단을 따를게. 당신의 판단을 따를게.
듀얼 끝. 살을 베어내고
꿈을 꾸러 가도
낙인을 새겨드리죠. 낙인을 새겨드리죠. 이번에야말로 이 싸움을 끝내주겠어. 정출할게요.
And this should be the final turn here.
듀얼 끝.
흉터의 결과야.
아름다운 것, 그렇지 않은 것.
And there we go. So far, these fights are just really easy. Now, here we are. Is this the place? After running through alleyway after alleyway, after turning corner after corner, we finally came across the site of several small buildings, tightly built next to one another. At the center of them was a building lit with red lamps adorned with a door plate with complicated-looking letters scribbled over it. This is shoddier than I expected. Hey, isn't this place a bit too trashy to house your precious young master? This is not our building. Please, look this way to see where our honored guests will be staying the night. I knew it. I heard so much from Hung Lu about the splendor, all the... Huh? We followed Qing Tao's finger and arrived at a small warehouse of sorts, its exterior painted in black. That looks smaller than even Mephistopheles. Can we all even sit in there? That place looks trashy as heck even for us, let alone your young master. This is the nearest Kezhan we could afford to stay in, at least among the ones I can manage. Yet its location in the backstreets heavily limits the level of decency it can afford. My deepest and sincerest apologies, young master. Don't worry, we can't always sleep in decent places. It looks just fine for an overnight stay to me. Are you nuts? Can that thing even fit all of us in there? How much I wish to guide the honored guest to the family mansion in the central zone. However, this time, the sweeping ways. Doesn't that start at 3:13 in the morning? I feel like we've got plenty of time to get there. Exactly, don't we have more than enough time to get to the family mansion? According to the Corp travel guide, the central area is only like an hour away from here. Has the honored guest traveled to District 8 before? Well, no, this is my first time here, but... then one must ask how the honored guest could claim to have more full understanding of a place merely by flipping through a book, when she has not had to contend with it in person. Innumerable, unpredictable changes away in this teeming jungle of buildings. The ever-shifting structures, the constantly changing paths, ambushes from foolish yet vicious syndicates, or even offices from the back streets. Oh, we are beset by danger from all sides. Such bold, flippant approach to predicting the phenomenon of this place is to court death. Even a toddler must know that. One fails to disguise this utter sorrow at the inadequacy of her wisdom. Is it just me, or are we all thinking back to Ishmael back at the Great Lake? Zip it, Dante. But if the guidebook lists a path, does it not imply that it is technically possible to reach there in time? Otis suddenly took a step forward. In her hand was the Corp travel pamphlet that Ishmael was talking about. I have faith that if our executive manager would lead us in your directionally challenged feed, they would be able to lead us to our destination before night falls. Me? This does not appear to have been discussed beforehand. Very well, allow me to speak freely without frills. My responsibility is to bring the honored guest to the central zone and to ensure the young master's safety. It is, indeed, technically possible to reach the family mansion before the night in the back streets commences. Technically. Yet, not even one iota of danger to the young master shall be permitted. The mission that has been so graciously bestowed upon this humble servant is not to guide the young master with haste, but to guide him with utmost safety. It is said that those engaging in strategies and plans must remain wary of losing sight of their purpose, to stubbornly forge on towards the family mansion in lieu of the necessity intel to see when these mobs of assailants would end is to wrongly prioritize the journey over the destination. You wonderful, truly impressive. You have all the qualities of someone I would trust my life with when devising a stratagem. This is the most fitting attitude for someone who genuinely wish for the best of those they serve. Really? You're just gonna start going along with him all of a sudden? I've misunderstood your intentions, truly. They sparked my ire by comparing some of your choice words with my very own. Yet now my eyes have been opened to the honest loyalty that lies within your heart. This humble servant did not imagine even in his wildest dreams that there would be someone who understands the fathoms of his loyalty. It seems that young master has certainly gained an eye for allies and fellowships. This is cause for much relief in my heart. Listen to them. This one knows how to jest. They're basically best buds now, huh? I may have lost my cool there for a moment. Anyway, this man speaks true, and it's highly likely that we would be exposed to attacks of similar nature were we to continue moving at this time. She's just fully on his side now, isn't she? That's when I realized she was looking in my direction. The exaggerated smile had all but completely faded from her face, replaced with an odd but dead serious expression. When our gazes locked, she nodded. She must be completely turned around by that guy. Is this her way of saying, so long, I'm gonna quit and go work with this guy now, thanks for everything? And as for this hotel, it is still much better than sleeping in outdoor tent barracks. We should be able to relieve ourselves of some fatigue here before moving on. Did you not earlier insist on continuing our search for a better accommodation with the greatest vehemence, Miss Otis? Yeah, whatever, we get your point. Let's just go inside. My humblest self can only behold your gracious acceptance at this insufficient lodging with my deepest gratitude. After all that serious talk, the man seemed oddly relieved at our decision as he brought his fist and palm together. Architecture of today mustn't be judged with such haste merely by an observation of their exterior. The interior may hold out to be surprised of, were he not. With Rodion surrendered, wouldn't that be nice? We made our way into the building. Oh, this actually ain't so bad. It's clean in here. This place presents a rather classical aesthetic. The landscape paintings along the walls give off a rather sophisticated mood. And it's much more spacious inside than it looks from the outside. Did they use some kind of space expansion technology in here too? No, it seems that the building only appears small due to the density of structures in proximity. Well, the door is now open. Should my presence be required, ours shall be in the small shed next to this building. Please do converse freely. The man smiled awkwardly and quietly excused himself as the excitement among the sinners began to grow. Meanwhile, Hung Lu stood a fair distance from the guide, quietly watching his face as he left. His expression was enigmatic, as if he were gazing upon the clouds, the flowers, or even the wind. Yet there was no light in those eyes. It was as if they beheld a storm cloud, a desolate field of wilted flowers, and a howling, destructive gale. Do you suspect something, Hongwu? So I decided to ask. Not yet, I don't think. Not yet? So, big brother, something fell off to you too, huh? That's when we caught a familiar voice. Wow, Shichun, it's you, and so soon too. Yeah, I told you I had a feeling we'd be seeing each other again very soon. Have you been well, young master? I'm so glad to see you're doing well, Mr. Wei. Oh wait, don't tell me you're staying here too, Shichun? I normally wouldn't ever set foot in a place like this, but I ran into some kind of large-scale construction on my way back to the family mansion. Had to come in through the back streets. So we weren't the only ones troubled by that random construction site. Hail to thee! The confident look on Shichun's face was immediately replaced by that of alarm. Did she lose her memories again? Is she with you? No, Don Quixote is the same as always. But she looks like such an airhead. Young Shichun, well, wouldst thou accompany me to the lodge for but a moment, so that we may share a moment of catching up? Oh yeah, actually, let's do that. Hold on. Yes, Shichun seemed to hesitate for a moment, staring at Don Quixote after hearing that her memories were intact. Before walking right up to her. I like that idea, shall we? Wait. Why don't you go and find a room for me to stay in while I talk some things out with her? What, you wanted to do some catching up, right? 'Tis, Manager Esquire? Oops, didn't mean to do that. Loss of critical personnel may be a cause for disciplinary action, Dante. I don't think there's anything wrong with making friends, though. Looks like Shichun really likes Don Quixote if she's comfortable enough to tease her like that. Not Don Quixote she likes. She's obviously just wants Don Quixote's power she saw back then. My lady, this is hardly the appropriate place for... Fine, I'll try again later. Go get some sleep, I'm heading in too. Shichun sighed with a bit of disappointment before heading into the lobby. Well, let's all head inside now. So I and the rest of the sinners followed her into the lodging.
승부수가 먹혀들었군. 판세는 완벽히 우리에게 있었다.
Oh boy.
이 기세를 잃지 않기를.
And we have even more story here. It should be 6 out of 12, right? Wait, no, that's EX clear. That's only for combat encounters. Actually, I think I'm gonna end off this episode here then. So, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. And I'll continue next time and get even closer to the end of this intervallo, I guess. I'm gonna try to do all this day 1 because I know there's a patch coming tomorrow. So, I'm just going to have to crank out a lot of these right now, so... I'll see you all next time. Bye!